Hello, and I was okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which time zone you're in. This is episode 3 of Mindset Mondays with DTK, February 26th, 2018. I'm David Taylor Klaus, and I am DTK coaching. So I'm actually excited for today for a couple of reasons. First one is I get to do one of the things I love to do most, which is totally dance in the moment, because the notebook that I scribble notes in of what I wanted to play with today is, of course, on the airplane that I flew into Atlanta on last night. So I'll hopefully be able to check with Delta later and get a hold of it. So Mindset Mondays is a year-long project that I've started. This is the third episode in a year of weekly broadcasts that I'm going to do every Monday to give 10 or 15 minutes to work with folks that are growth mindset oriented. Either you are or you want to be. And it's the opportunity to play with new ideas, to kick around different mindsets, and really to get a handle on the power of and the control over mindset that we all have. So that really captures why we're here and why I'm doing this. Love the idea of being able to give people the power to challenge stuck mindset. Because, of course, as is some pins that I created once say, stuck sucks. So the quote that we're going to play with today is the idea that it's part of your life because you keep thinking about it. And I think this is one of those really powerful awarenesses. And today I'll remember to turn the camera back on. Okay, so this is a really powerful mindset to get into the idea that it's part of your life because you keep thinking about it. You have absolutely all the power to decide whether you stick to and obsess over something or not. This is a powerful awareness for most folks. The idea that being stuck is a complete choice, right? That when we fixate on a thought, that it stays. And I think the important piece is that, wow, the thoughts that we choose actually carry a weight. They have a weight to them. And whether that weight is something that is uplifting, a negative weight, or weighing you down. Let me give you an explanation. If you've ever done CrossFit or seen the Operation Boot Camp folks out in the parks around your neighborhood, that there's always one guy in the program who's wearing a weight vest, right? It's or a woman who's wearing it. It's a vest that has little quarter-pound weights that you can slide in, and depending on how much extra work you want to do, you can leave those in or out. I use that as a metaphor for all of the ideas and thoughts that we carry, all of the self-flogging ideas, the I can't do this, the I suck at this, all the negative chatter, the saboteur chatter in your head, those are weights that we carry. And when we push something out, when we try to sublimate it, when we try not to navigate it, not to think about it, it's still a weight that we carry. Right? So even though the quote, again, is that it's part of your life because you keep thinking about it, here's the interesting thing. Whether you're actively thinking about it or not, or whether you're storing it, that's a weight that you carry. It's another slide of weight into that vest that you walk around in. And imagine if you walked around all day with an extra 40 pounds of weight on you. That's a tremendous waste of energy. So the idea is there's a possibility to change that neural pathway. There's a possibility to really shift the thoughts that you're taking in. There's a concept from Shirzad Chamine, Chmine. He's the former CEO and chairman of Coaches Training Institute, and he's done a tremendous body of work around something he calls positive intelligence. In fact, you can go to positiveintelligence.com and get a good idea what his body of work is, the book, and the assessments that he's done. One of the pieces then is the idea of something he calls PQ reps. Positive intelligence quotient is PQ, sort of like IQ is intelligence quotient. That's the little acronym that he uses for it. And the idea of a PQ rep is something to help break the neural pathway. The more often we run through the same neural pathway, the more often we play through the same idea, the more often we carry the same thought, that neural pathway in the brain actually becomes more heavily myelinated, more of the fat layer on the axon, on the neuron itself, that allows that electrical stimulus to go along more easily. It greases the skids, makes it move easier. So the more often you carry a thought, the more often you fixate on something, the more likely it is for you to follow that same neural pathway again and again and again. So when we talk about, it's not just spending repeatedly doing the same thing over and over again to create a new habit. You also have to put attention into breaking a habit or breaking a neural pathway. So if every time you're faced with a challenge, the first thought is, oh my God, I can't do this. Oh my God, I suck at this. One tool that Shirzad Chamine has come up with is the idea of this PQ rep. It's 10 seconds of focused attention on one physical sensation. And whether you're doing auditory or visual, just focusing on one sensation for 10 seconds. So as soon as you notice that well-worn neural pathway, as soon as you notice that thought that you keep fixating on, one thing to do is to break that pattern instantly, right? And the idea is, so we can actually try one here. So you're listening to this broadcast, either live or recording, and there's still sounds in the room around you, right? So you have the opportunity, let's do this with auditory. You be aware, I want you to focus completely on, first, my voice, and nothing more than focusing on the sound of my voice, and listen more deeply. Listen for tone and shift and the character of the voice. And while you're listening, where are all the other noises around you? And while you're focusing just on the voice, also notice on the sound of your own breathing, the other sounds in the room. Now, by doing this for the 10 seconds that we just did, what you've done is you've shifted all of your attention away from a normal neural pathway that you may have been following. So the idea is to do this 3 or 4 times. Each time you notice being stuck on a thought. And whether it's, I can't do this, I won't get this job, I'm not going to close this deal, I'm not going to get this contract, whatever it may be, there is an opportunity to break that neural pathway, which is a great first step to shifting to replacing that thought pattern with something that serves, something that moves you forward, a different thought, a different pattern, a different decision that can move you in a different direction. And thanks, Jody, for putting up the link to positive intelligence. But again, this is just a brilliant idea, a brilliant way to give you a way to break patterns that don't serve. Because again, the energy that you spend holding on to these ideas that don't serve, not only do they keep you from moving in a direction that you want, God, it's also just that extra weight that you carry all bloody day. So again, the idea that it's part of your life because you keep thinking about it. As you hear that quote, and as we've played around with the idea of PQ reps and the idea of shifting your thoughts intentionally, what comes up for you? What are the ideas? What thoughts? Where are areas that you find yourself getting stuck? What are some of the narratives that keep you still? Things that don't serve. What I love about this, again, is this is just an opportunity for you to play with the power of choosing your own thought. The first week we played with the idea that the greatest weapon against stress, the ability to choose one thought over another. This is, again, noting the responsibility you have. When something is part of your life, it's there because you put attention to it. You think about it. So again, this is that What comes up for you when it's clear about the ownership? Bill, I love that. Bill, thank you. Because it goes up to the litany of all the things that, oh my God, what are those old mistakes? What are those past things that I keep getting stuck on? I spent months and months and months obsessing over something absolutely stupid that I did when I was working in DC that, as I say, got me fired or allowed me to be freed up for industry. And I played that over in my head over and over. And I sat in job interviews running that same thing through my head again. And instead of being present to the interviewer, I was running through that past mistake, which was obviously keeping me from being present to an interview, which of course people can smell. Jody, interesting how when you keep your mind focused on the positive, good things seem to happen and vice versa. That's that, seems like magical thinking, but it works. The idea is when you are, what you attend to increases. This is not the idea that, I think the idea of the book, The Secret, got taken way out of context. The idea that if you think about it enough and think hard enough, you can manifest anything. And I think it's a lot deeper than that. The idea of, what you put your attention to increases around you. Because remember, we talked about being evidence collecting machines as we were playing last week. And that's really true. If you hold a negative filter, you are going to see everything around you through that negative lens. And so, yes, what you put your attention to increases. So when you hold a positive lens, when you hold positive thoughts and positive ideas, when you hold ideas that serve you, then absolutely, you see through that positive lens and you start collecting evidence. There was a great bit on Note to Self, a podcast that talked about, instead of paranoia, the idea of pronoia, the idea that the universe is out colluding for your success rather than everybody out to get you. Instead of keeping the victim story going, you actually get to shift it to a positive story, whether it's the hero story or the overcome, or if that's a great thing to bring up in the conversation in the Facebook group, the idea of what's the story that you can replace it with that actually serves. Replacing something that doesn't serve with an idea that actually serves you. So we're coming up to our magic 15-minute line. So I want to check in. What will you do now? How will you use this idea? How will you use what you've played with here and what's come up for you? What will you choose to do differently? Agata says that our thoughts create our reality. And that's the perfect tie-in to what will you do now? Looking through the lens of thoughts create your reality, what will you create? And therefore, what thinking pattern or what ideas will you commit to holding so that that's your lens, right? So what will you do now, or what lens will you hold? So remember, come into the Facebook group, which is at facebook.com/groups/MindsetMondays. And that gives you the opportunity to join the conversation. And we've got folks that come in each week responding to the quote, adding new ideas, and would love to have your voice in the mix as well. Again, the group is Mindset Mondays with the DTK. If you do a search on Facebook, if you're already into the group and you just click join, and I'll get you in very quickly. Facebook.com/groups/Mindset Monday. So again, until next week, the question for you is, what mindset will you choose? Thanks for joining in. Look forward to seeing you next week.